Hello everyone. As everyone know, my name is Kashish. Today, I'll be presenting you guys with a lot of knowledge enriched things which a lot of developers would like to hear, and maybe sometimes they won't like to hear as much as I want to tell them. With that said, today we'll be talking about UX UI design, not how to do it, but why it is very important for a product and what are some of these steps that would be required if anybody wants to learn UX UI, what exactly is UI UX, and the differences between user experience and user interface. Also, we'll be understanding what is ideally the goals of a great UX design product, as well as the industry standard UX design process. So with that said, I have a lot of things to cover today. So probably I'll quickly go on to the first thing, that is actually what is UX. So let me tell you a quick story how I began, exploring this UX UI thing. And this does not happen just like that. I woke up suddenly and I thought, hey, let's do this particular stuff. So it was not quite like that. I used to design and develop few of the websites when I was, in my college days. That point of time, I did not know exactly, hey, what is actually UX design or UI design. But as I was doing that stuff, a lot of time what happened was that me and the person, let's say if I'm working for someone else, let's say if I'm working for a company. So we came to a conclusion that there were a lot of obstacles when we used to, deliver our websites. Now the thing that stuck in my mind, that was why these things are happening in such a manner and why we are getting these kind of obstacles. Let's say the UX of that product is bad, even though I was not knowing what is actually UX, but still. So a lot of time accessibility was the issue. A lot of times, the consistency was an issue. So uh, that time I thought there must be some flow, there must be something that we are missing, or personally I am missing. So I later discovered that there is a process that is known as UX design process, which we need to follow in order to make our product outshine every other product in the market. So that is when I got to learn about UX design. And if I have to explain any new by what do you really mean by UX UI, because a lot of time what I see is that we just think about UI. Okay. If I talk to developers, what they would say that, hey, we don't care what you do, what are the user flows, we really don't care. Just give us the UI mockups and we will just develop it. But coming to that stage requires a lot of efforts and a lot of practices just to give you the UI mockup. So today I want to go a little bit backstory of how we came to and usually comes to UI mockups. So if I have to explain anyone what is UX design, I would say it is a single-handedly process which we use to create our user experience of any product delightful for our users. So basically, whatever we do, we keep our users in our mind to provide them with the best user experience possible. So that is what the UX would really mean to anyone. And now the thing comes, what is UI and how all both of those things are different. So let me tell you, you see this diagram over here. The one thing that you see inside of the yellow part here, right? These all things come within your user experience journey, right? When we talk about user experience and UI design, let's say this that UX is a very vague term. It's a very big, continental of things, and UI is just a single part of the UX, right? So the UI mockup screen that you see is literally a part of UX design process. Now, when it comes to that, it is a part, then what is actually UX and how many things are involved? So if I talk about information architecture, software development, speaking from a point of view of CS, if I talk about motion design, communication design, navigational design, user flows, user journeys, how user feels about the product, what is the design language that we're going to be using. So all of those things consist of UX, and you can also see over here that UX is also related to CS, it is related to audio, because if we have to use any sort of, let's say, alerts or something like that, we essentially use, we essentially design sound for that. We also have industry design if we are, handling our product and we are building a product that would be utilized, let's say, for an ATM machine, right? We still have to deliver it and we have to create a UI for it. So, speaking about marketing, a lot of things. So, that is what UX broadly means, and UI merely is just a part of it. So, the biggest thing is that a lot of people think that, hey, UX UI is purely creative process, it is an art that we need to do. But in my opinion, and what a lot of other sources tells us, that UX UI design is not an art. It's basically, it is in the place to just solve the problems faced by stakeholders, but before that, problems faced by the users, right? So we have to create our user interfaces, we have to create our UX design. We have to do UX to improve our product that reaches out to our users, that resonates with our stakeholders, keeping the business perspective in our mind, what we really want to achieve with that product. Those all aspects come within UX and UI design. So it's not an art. Anybody can learn it if you have that, that urge to learn it. But let me tell you, it is not creative, right? So if you ever think that, hey, maybe I should know drawing. If I don't know drawing, how would I learn UX UI? But it's not possible. You can design stuff, even if you don't know anything about, uh, let's say colors, typography, whatever. Still, you can learn it. And I have few of my friends which are called UX designers, and they really don't even, design the screens. So everything is possible. But yeah, moving on. So UX UI design is not an art. Very clear with that. Now, here's a very good example, right? So what you would see here is two ketchup bottles, right? One is very shiny, glassy looking, upright positioned with a great branding, what ketchup bottle, right? And the second one you would see is a merely a plastic bottle that if I would, press slightly, it would go inside, and it's just plastic bottle, right? Also upside down. So clearly we can see the UI. UI means the outer covering, the design element of the things. We can definitely say, hey, the first bottle is pretty looking, right? The UI of first bottle is brilliant when we compare it to the second bottle. But when we talk about the functioning of it, right? Let's say we have UI of our bottle right like this, right? And we have our UI bottle that was the second bottle, that was a plastic bottle, right? But here you would see the UX side of things. UX would mean how it actually works, right? So there you can see a lot of time we have also done it, right? We'll slap the bottle from the bottom of it to put and to take our ketchup out, right? But if you talk about the second bottle, it's merely very easy to take out anything from that. You just have to squeeze it and it comes out just like that. So this is a very good example that every time if a UI is good, maybe it's possible that UX can be good or cannot be good. So when we create a product, we have to think in both sense. It's not just about how pretty it looks, right? It is really about how well does it work, you know. It's really about that. It's not just about, hey, this color is looking fancy, but exactly how the user is perceiving it, the user goal is being let's say solved or not, the user problem has been resolved or not, the purpose of the product, why it was made, is it solving that purpose or not? So a very good example of UX versus UI. Now, very interesting thing, the UX of a banana, right? Now, what the hell is UX of a banana and why do we see that? So talking about UX of banana, basically, we can literally learn everything from nature. If you want to get some inspiration for colors, you just look around yourself, you will find infinite color combinations that you can use everywhere. So banana again is a really good example of user experience. And we should really understand and, learn from banana that how our products UX should be. Now, how and why I'm saying that. First of all, if just by looking from outside, right, I don't have to peel it. First of all, it is most easiest fruit of all time, right? Firstly, we can get it anywhere. It is really easy that even a monkey can eat it, right? We don't have to peel it. We don't have to, uh, let's say wash it or do any of those stuff. And talking about how it signifies UX in the form, the first thing you can tell a banana is good or not by just looking at it, right? If it's green, you mean that it's not matured yet. So you gotta hold it for some time and let it ripe and then you gotta eat it. So firstly, it shows you signals, right? If it is, let's say, became very brownish kind of color, that means that it is not good to eat. So it gives you instantly that, hey, it is telling you that status, right? I am not good to eat. So another point that we can learn from banana. Now, let me break it down so that you guys can, remember it. Firstly, it tells you the status, that is it ready to be eaten or is it already being degraded? So how we can implement those things within our applications, within our websites, within our products, is to show status of elements wherever necessary by using colors, patterns, text, iconography. So if we have to add a semantic, if we have to tell the user that, hey, we are, you incurred an error. So essentially we would use red colors. If we have to tell them, hey, this is a warning, your storage space is getting full, we will use a warning of, let's say, orange or yellow color. So first thing to learn from banana is to incorporate status within our apps. Second, ease of use. As I told you, bananas are very easy to eat. Even monkeys can eat them. So make your product as easy as a banana, right? So we have to limit our options, reduce the steps that could be encountered to achieve any task. Amount of info should also be less. Nobody wants to see, let's say, bombarded page with a lot of things, right? So we have to keep our things very easy and simple for the user. So if a user does not have to learn anything, that is the best thing that we want to be in our products. Third thing is accessibility. That that first slide could be very true, that our bananas can be more accessible than our websites. Why is that? Let's say if a so accessibility basically means if anybody does not know. So if anybody is lacking some sort of ability, right? We will still include them. Let's say if a person is colorblind, they cannot differentiate between colors. So our apps, our website should be designed in such a manner that we can accommodate those things within our websites. So let's say if a person is using a banana and he's colorblind, right? So he can still see the spots that appear right on a banana if it is degraded. So we have to use patterns along with colors to make design more accessible to our users. So accessibility, again, we can learn from that. The last thing that I wanted to remind you is it's not just about banana. That was a very, merely an example to let you know some of the logics. But it's the overall experience, right? It should not be just one thing. It should not be just, let's say, status. It should not be just accessibility. It is the whole product, how a person feels about your product, right? What emotions get out of from a person when he or she is using your product. So that is what we want to achieve here. So always remember, be like bananas and not a pineapple. Why would I say that? Because you know how tough it is to eat in pineapple. First, we have to get rid of everything. We have to scratch it up. We'll have to cut it with a knife. A lot of stuff is involved. But banana, just like that. So a very good example. Always remember that we have to use UX if we want to become a successful product. There is no way around. All right, a lot of things about food. Let's move on to goals of a great user experience. Now, what I mean about the goals. So these things are essentially what we need to see in a product, what we need to achieve from UX terms to build a great product. First thing, the product should be useful, right? So that is the most important thing we need from a product, that what we are designing, what we are developing should really serve the users uh, to their problem, what they are actually having, right? So that is very important. A lot of times we deviate from our end goal, but you have to understand that if a user is having a problem, it's our, as an designer, as a developer, it's our duty to solve that, and that is the most important thing we look at. Second thing, the usability. The product should be easy to understand. The product should be easy to use. If a user is first, they have a learning curve to learn about the product, how to use that, and then they can only use it, I believe that product is a waste of the time. Your product should be as easy as possible, that even a newbie who is not, let's say, not everyone is very tech savvy, not everyone knows how to operate a lot of different websites. So it should resemble other websites, as well as it should be very clear to us how they can, use your product. So that is very most important thing, because let's say you design very beautiful looking product, very great experience, but after all, it's not usable for the user, right? So what's the point of making that product? Accessibility, very important. Regardless of the ability, we need to give better experience for all users, and especially products like, let's say, Google, Microsoft. These guys have a dedicated team which just look into accessibilities, right? And they want to include everyone within their product. So if a person is colorblind, if a person is, let's say, deaf, if a person does not know how to let's say, not understand English fully, still we can provide them with signals, with alerts, with a lot of different stuff which can help your product become more accessible. Delightful. It's no bad thing if a user enjoys your product. So basically, we always have to strive to make our product delightful. That means if a person is using our product, they should be delighted after it. So that is how we can measure the success of our thing. With that said, let's move on to UX design process, because I don't want to take a lot of time from the other presentation as well. So I'm trying to be a little quick here. But talking about UX design process, this is very crucial if you really want to understand how these all things work, because till now, whatever I said were kind of the things which, okay, we understand, but now how we achieve all of those things. So we have a specific process that how everything works out. So it is basically dependent upon our design process. So this is how design process generally means. And this is also known as design thinking. So anytime anybody asks you, hey guys, do you use design thinking in your company? So we got answer, yes, we do. And how do we use it? By empathizing, defining, ideating, prototyping, and testing the product. Now, if you don't understand this thing, that's fine. I'll explain you in a bit. So empathize would mean how to define our product. Okay. Defining the product would really mean that how we would research the things. Okay. If we talk about ideation, we literally mean we need to analyze things up. Talking about prototype, it basically means how we design stuff. And if I talk about testing, it basically means how we validate it with the user, how the users are accepting our product. So this is how a generalized design process really works. First of all, we understand and empathize with the user. We try to get that, hey, what is the problem that the user is really, we just gather the information. We don't define it yet. We define it in the define stage. We gather all the information, empathize with the user, and define what are the really problems. Then we start to bring up the solutions. So we'll start off with brainstorming. Let's say we start off doing research, we start off doing competitive analysis, we start to build up some flows in a very brief ideation stage. Then it comes about prototyping. So prototyping would mean that we would actually design our product based on the ideas that we got, and then we just test it. Test would really mean that whatever we have done till now, is it worth it or not? Is it solving the initial defined scope or not? So let's talk about what is involved within each of these steps. So if I talk about product definition would involve stakeholder interviews, value proposition mapping, and concept sketching. The most important thing is stakeholder interviews, because a lot of product that we deliver nowadays, and usually it's almost all the time, because we as in designer would want to know exactly what our business people wants, because essentially the business is if it is not for profit organization, still they also want to earn some profits. The most important thing is the business part of the thing. So we want to take a stakeholders interview. We need to get what are the pain points that they are usually having from receiving feedback from the user, or what they want to achieve as a company, and how this product would be helping them to achieve that. So all of those things involved in product definition. Product research would be in-depth interviews with the users, competitive research. I just listed down 2 or 3 aspects, the basic things that we generally people use. But even if I tell you that we have, let's say, talk about Google, they have a specific, team that only does research, and there would be like hundreds of designers who will be just doing UX research. So it can include a lot of different steps, a lot of different practices, but I'm just listing down few so that you remember what does this particular thing means. So research would mean competitive research. Uh, it could also mean how the other users are really, tackling those issues. It could mean a lot of user interviews, knowing the user. It could mean secondhand researches, like we get to read a lot of different blog post articles. What are the data telling us? So all of those things. Talking about analysis, this generally means to create a user persona. User persona are the fictional figures that we use for our product, and this helps us to not deviate from the end goal. Creating user stories, storyboarding, card sorting method, a lot of stuff. We have a lot of things in analyzing, but these are the basic ones that we generally use in our company as well. Talking about design, we'll start off with sketching. We'll create some wireframes, we'll create some prototypes, we'll create design specifications for me style guides. We design UI mockups for, if we talk about websites, so we'll design it for mobile, we'll design it for web, as well as we'll have some sort of style tiles that we started using in our company as well. So this is where you'll actually see designing happening, right? So we call it UX design, but if I go back, you can see that it's just a part of it, right? We had to do product definition, research, analysis, design, and the last thing comes as the validation. So we conduct testing sessions, we conduct surveys, we send out Google survey to a lot of users, we gather the analytics, we try to get the analytics from third party applications that we use on the website, some plugins. So from that we can get actual information. Hey, are we able to solve our issue that we initially thought of? If yes, well done. If not, the product is ever evolving. We will go back to our first thing, that is again we're going to be defining the things, then conducting the research, and the loop repeats itself. So that is what UX process in a nutshell would mean to anyone. I hope you guys got a brief of what really UX design means, and we are here at the end. Do you guys have any questions?
Hi guys, thank you for watching. I had an amazing time learning all the new things here at Specbee's TechX. And if you did too, do let us know in the comments below. Keep following Specbee for the latest trends in technology. See you in the next one.